The third one is to imbibe the right attitude and approach needed to positively contribute to community fitness program. Number three, if I'm just going to stretch a little bit here, it means as a physical education teachers, it is partly your responsibility also to contribute something to the health and fitness of the community you live in, not just in the school campus, even outside the school campus. And the fourth one is to introduce the concept of blogging as a part of program initiative in your school and in the community you live. Excuse me. First, I would like to talk on the meaning of creativity in physical education and sports. The meanings and the needs of creativity in physical education and sports. Here I'll be dealing with two main subjects. One is what is creativity in physical education and sports, and the second one is why creativity is needed in physical education and sports. I hope this will be very valuable for the physical education teachers, participants, and community coaches. To understand what is creativity, we have given ABC. A, which stands for abstract thinking. This abstract thinking is the use of your imagination and your original innovative ideas to create something new, to create something useful. That is the first meaning here for creativity. And the second one is balancing the situation. When we said balancing creativity as a balancing situation, I mean solving of problems in a new but effective way, considering the different aspects. It is not just leaning so much to one side or with the intention of changing entirely the whole thing or the whole concept. You just have to slightly modify a bit, keeping the old part of things and add the new part of things. That is what I mean by balancing situations. And the third one is confidence. Confidence in taking risks and ignoring doubt about yourself. Here, what we meant is to be creative is, in other words, to believe in yourself and to have that, to take away the doubt in you. You should be willing to take risks. And as a teacher or as an individual, when you can apply this ABC, that is abstract thinking, balancing of situation, and confidence to apply some new thing, especially into your program, I'll call that one creativity in physical education and sports. Now, coming to the needs and importance of creativity in physical education and sports. Let me tell you, it is well accepted that physical education as a part of the department in school is one department or one area where you find almost everything is lacking, right? Or we find almost everything is lacking in this department. I have listed 5 things. And as a physical education teachers with experience, I know you'll be able to add another 5 into 5, another 25 things into this presentation. But I just want you to look into this 5 things, which I feel is most common to my knowledge. The first thing you find lacking in physical education and sports is the manpower. The staff is never sufficient, right? The staff are never sufficient to look after 1,000 to 3,000 students. When you have, for example, a maths teacher or a science department, when you have almost 20, 30 teachers, you find 1 or 2 physical education teachers, right? So the manpower is and staff is always lacking. And the second thing that lacks so much in the Department of Physical Education is the equipment and facilities. Either the campus is too small, you don't have a playground. Even if you have a playground, you don't have sufficient ball to teach, or you don't have sufficient equipments. And the third one, funding. And even when you write something, when you require something, when you ask something for purchasing, to add equipments or facilities into your programs, it is never granted. That is always the complaint of physical education teachers. And the fourth one is number of allotted class. Number of allotted class is always a problem in school when it comes to physical education. Even those who want to work so hard, they find just given one class a day or two class a week. Even the class we have, it is mostly taken out by other subject teachers because the concentration, the interest of a school institution is always in academic. And the last one, the last common complaint about physical education department is no clear-cut syllabus. Though the government NCRT and all, they started coming up with the master plan, but practically when it comes to physical education, since due to insufficiency of staff or other program, implementation part is always late. Right? So most of the physical education activities or program depend upon the teacher. So there's no clear-cut syllabus. These are the 5 common things, needs I have identified for physical education in schools. But what we want to stress today is we don't want to complain that this is lacking, because by complaining, we're not going to gain anything. As a physical education teachers and community coach, dear friends, my request to you is let us try to chant or not chant the dice into your favor. Let us look at the situation and try to add something into it, something creative, which will be helpful to the student, which will be helpful to the institution instead of just always complaining. I know if we try to stop complaining, we'll be able to do that. So the idea here on this presentation is not to complain, but to turn the situation into your favor, into your advantage. And for that, what you need is to set your philosophy right. When we talk about philosophy, philosophy means your belief in your principles of life on how you are going to achieve something. You have a goal, in which way you want to achieve that goal, in which way you want to approach. All the things you believe very strongly in your life, to some extent we call that kind of philosophy. So when we talk about philosophy as a physical education teacher, we divide it into 3. When you first join as a physical education teachers in school, you might be having 3 motivations, right? The first motivation you have as a physical education teachers is if I join this school, my first impression is, my first thing I have to do is I'm going to set up a team, a winning team. I'm going to make my student become the champion in inter-school. All this winning philosophy, some of us have developed this one. And we started focusing on this winning philosophy. Whereas the second types of physical education teachers, they believe in, we call it participation philosophy. They want those children who come for their class just to have fun, to enjoy. Their aim is not to teach something new also, but to ensure that the student enjoy their class. So these are the second group of people who have this philosophy. And the third type of physical education teachers we have is who believe in developmental philosophy. And their belief is, their intention is to help young people develop physically, psychologically, and socially. Their intention is good. They try to ensure that those students or those children who come in close contact with them, those children whom he is allotted the class, he want to teach something. Let it be about fitness, let it be about sports, or even how to control their anger, their emotions, and how to be socially adjustable. Oh, these are the three types of philosophy usually physical education teachers have. And I'm not telling that one teachers will be fully of the first type or the second type or the third type. Why I put this presentation is there are three types of belief, and it is so much possible to come from the first just by looking at the three types of philosophy. The aims of physical education is, it rests on the third, the developmental philosophy. It is so much possible to turn your philosophy, your belief into by slightly changing your approach on life or your class will change. And it is so much possible from reading philosophy to come to the third one, or from participation philosophy to come to developmental philosophy. So my advice to you is, if you're slightly leaning or of the reading philosophy types or the participation philosophy types, I want you to look back into your philosophy and try to come and develop, try to pick up this developmental philosophy, because as a teacher it is going to help, and your contribution to the institution will have more value into if you have a more percentage of this developmental philosophy. And next we have step to be creative physical education. What are the things that you require if you want to be a creative physical education teacher? Let me make it very clear that all of us born as a human being are creative. Already we are creative in nature. It is about digging into ourselves or taking out or introspecting, looking inside of yourself and bring out a creative side of our quality. So let us assume all of you are already creative, but some of us still fail to use this creativity. I'll be talking on step to the creative physical education on two things. One is planning and preparing for classes. The second one is diary recording, which I call the plus and the minus technique. Coming to the first one, planning and preparing for class. Planning and preparing, you understand, is nothing but, why do you talk about planning? Planning is deciding in advance what you're going to do. This is planning. It is quite simple, but very, very important, which most of us fail to do it. Planning is deciding in advance what to do. But like I said, as a physical education teachers, we always fail to do this. I think this will be an eye opener to you. And the second one is, what is preparation? Preparation is nothing but practicing how to do things, how to execute what you have planned. A little bit of practice is what we call preparation. So planning and preparation for class, once you can apply it into your life, into your programs, then it is bound to get some result. And these are two things you can never overdo in life. The more you do it, the better person you come. And the better person you come, obviously, the creative side of you is bound to come out. So please do remember, planning and preparation for class is very, very important. And next, we have diary record, or like I said, what I call the plus and minus technique. Diary record is almost out of vogue, right? It is almost outdated, old-fashioned. But as a physical education teachers, I seriously want to request you to kindly look back how we can use this old practices, old generation practices to our advantage. When we talk about having a diary and recording a diary, there are two important things that you have to do. One is, I call it the plus technique. In the plus technique is nothing but positive habitual practice of maintaining a diary or a planning books where you consistently keep and maintain records about your program for class. Plus sight is deciding in advance what you're going to do in your physical education program. That is the plus part of diary maintenance. And when we come to minus, here minus is nothing negative, but taking time to look back into your program at the end of the day and subtracting those things that doesn't work so well with the program. Here, let me keep it this way as an example. In your positive side, in your plus side, in your plus technique, you have decided 5 things that you are going to use it in your physical education class. Then, let's say it is Monday and Tuesday, you apply these 5 things into your class. And at the end of the day, when you go back to your home or when you are alone, when you have time to introspect, when you have time to look into yourself, what you will do is this 5 things or 4 or 5 things you have listed that you have applied to your class, you'll look back and you'll be able to realize that 1 or 2, number 3 or number 1 doesn't work so well, right? Where you find that it is not so working well, you just deduct this one, you just cut out this 2. That is what I call minus, subtracting from the plan. And this way you'll keep on improving. Your next class, Monday, Tuesdays is over. When on Wednesday and Thursday, or let's say Thursday and Friday, after introspecting your plus, your positive program, your plus technique, you after deleting that 2 things from those things that did not work well, you're bound to have more successful programs in your Thursday and Friday course. This is what I mean by diary recording, the plus and minus technique. And to add one more important things here, as a physical education teachers, if you keep on maintaining this sort of diary, times will come, you will be able to keep on improving yourself. And once you improve yourself, one big advantage you're going to have is you're going to have this what we call research attitude, right? You'll be willing to share your newfound techniques because you are going to be satisfied with your work. And when the moment you are able to share these ideas, it could be for the future, it could be one good research topic. And you may be wondering, even if I have good ideas as a physical education teachers, what is the research to me? I'll tell you, it is time physical education teachers take the profession to the next level, and there's no harm in going for simple research if you feel it is going to be very effective and helpful to the profession. And if you have some ideas, if you practice this sort of diary recording, and if you find that you have come up with some new creative ideas, new technique that works so well, please don't hesitate to contact some scholar in the field of physical education. And LNCPE as a college who are so interested in this research will be always be there to help you out, and we may be able to work together also to put up some good research with be contributing to the school and at the same time contributing to your career and to the profession as well. Here, next we are going to talk on symptoms. Yeah, in this age of, or in this period of pandemic, right, COVID-19 situation, I'm very sure everyone is very familiar with the word symptom. Here, when I use the word symptom of a creative physical education teachers, I mean to say that I have listed only 3 qualities in your school situation. If you follow this, if you have these 3 qualities, well and good, or if you don't have, if you put it as an objective and try to achieve these 3 qualities, no one can take away your creativity or your efficiency as a physical education teacher. The first one here, I'll be talking about popularity for the right reason within the school premises. If you get a job as a physical education teacher, the first thing you have to do is your objective have to be popular for the right reason. Please mind it, the right reason is very important. So many times, physical education teachers can be for the wrong reason popular in the school premises. Not that one. How to be popular for the right reason in the school premises, in the school campus, within the institution. I have listed three things that you have to do. One is the first one, how you carry yourself. For most of you, I think you'll be already maintaining it. For others, it required a hard work. What is expected of you as a physical education teacher? The first thing is how you present yourself. When you said how you present yourself, how people see in you. What is your structure of your body? Physical education teachers are expected to be healthy and fit. Please keep in mind, if you are not healthy and fit, put additional effort so that you'll be healthy and fit once again. This is what I mean by how to carry yourself. Once you are fit and healthy, you look fit and healthy as a physical education teachers, half of the work is done. Do remember, you are already popular for the right reason. I'm not insisting you should be for the male you should have those bulging muscles, not like that. A fit and healthy person, just by the look, also you are able to identify. Please identify yourself to be as an individual who is fit and healthy. So how you carry yourself is important physically. And second one, I put these words, your attire, how you dress, or your selection of how you choose your fashion. So many times, physical education teachers in school always wear this sport dress, and we have this identity as you know, not so much uh, in vogue. In other words, not so much updated with our dress. So this is one big complaint we used to have. So as a physical education teachers, be very careful about your attire fashion selection. Here I'll talk about three things. When we talk about fashion, once you have a fit and healthy body, try to be comfortable. You have to be very comfortable with sportswear, sports dress. This I did not stress. I know you'll be. And second one, and just try to look what is in fashion. I did not mean to say that you should go and wear torn jeans and other things, but adjust with the fashion of today, and especially when it comes to casual dress, choose a dress that will be able to fit, that will not look odd. And the third one, when it comes to fashion and dress, is a formal dress. You have to be very comfortable with your formal dress. And to be comfortable with formal dress, sometime or occasionally you have to wear formal dress. Situation, I know in school, situation is going to come where you have to wear a formal dress, where you have to wear a tie, a suit, or sometimes even wear a suit and look very smart. Until unless you practice this one, to look formal is not easy. The day you, even if you're the one who never wear formal dress, and you have one occasion where you have to wear tie or a suit, you'll find so uncomfortable, and people are going to notice. So be very concerned about these three things. Be comfortable with the dress you're choosing. Let it be sport dress, and be already have comfort with casual dress with the latest trend, in other words. And the third one is also try to be comfortable, have a practice with formal dress. Sometime when the school is organizing some big program, go and dress occasionally very smartly, and the way people, other staff looks at you will be entirely different. And even these children, the way children will look at you will be different. And you'll be popular for the right reason within the school premises if you follow these three things. Or the last one, I forgot to tell, that is your social skill matters. A physical education teacher is expected to be extrovert in nature, adjustable, understanding, right? And love to be among the group. If you're physical education teachers and you hardly communicate well with other teachers, you hardly drop into the staff room, people are not going to, you are not going to be that popular. Please remember, please follow these three things and I'm sure you'll be popular for the right reason. And the next one is a big queue during the PTA meeting. One big manifestation, one big show of time for a physical education teacher is during the parents teacher meeting, right? Every school always have this parents teacher meeting. During parents teacher meeting, if you want to know how efficiently, how popular you are, how effectively you do your work, it is shown by on this particular day. Because for physical education teacher, if in your department, you will find in front of your department, the day you find so many parents coming and lining up to meet you. That is the day where you start establishing your identity in your school. You will not find anyone outside your door who will not India, in India, because of this lockdown, everything is stopped. We can't blame anyone, but this is partly our attitude also. What I want you to take back here is Indian reality, no fun, no sports. The same thing is going to be happening with you in your school situation. Until unless you are able to establish a fan clubs, right? People who idolize you, people who respect you, people who like you. If you cannot establish this group among the children, among the school children, among the staff, and among the parents, if you don't have these fun clubs, your popularity in the school will always be affected. So what and how do I have, you may be asking, how do I establish these fun clubs in the school campus? I'll tell you, it is a self-made. You work seriously, you plan your program, automatically, slowly, your popularity, your publicity will spread from step by step, and before you realize, you may be the most popular, the most valuable teachers in the campuses. So this is how we are going to establish a fund. Until unless, just by PR, just by WhatsApp message or just by social networking, you're not going to establish a fund. It is going to be decided by your work. Please remember these three things, and these are the symptoms of creative physical education teachers. And next, I'll be talking about how we are going to put aside this uh, school children aside for a while. We are going to concentrate here on how to involve the staff and parents into your physical education program because they are very important. My dear friends, I'll repeat this: staff and parents form an important part of a school physical education programs. And if you are successful in engaging them, then your physical education program is bound to be successful. I'll be talking here on two things. One is work visibility, and second one is finding out the right moment. And on work visibility, I want to stress here on work visibility means how to make. There are so many times, there are so many people who keep working so hard, but their hard work is never visible to others. That also is wrong, right? If you work so hard, your effort have to be visible. This is one. And once you have work visibility, then that is the time where you'll be able to sell your ideas, where you'll be able to tell you this, even where you'll be able to convince the school administration, the headmaster, the principal, the supervisors, all these people will be able to convince it. But to be able to convince this important group in the school, that if your parents and staff, your work visibility have to come first. And I have two tips, the don'ts and do's as a physical education teacher. If you have to avoid these two things, the don'ts as a physical education teacher is, I put two things. One is profession narcissist. Narcissist is someone who just admire himself, right? From the Greek history, if you Google what do you mean by narcissist? Narcissist is an individual who sit by the side of a pond and admire himself throughout. Yeah, some of us are still there in this profession who said that some of us, yeah, who still believe physical education is the best subject, the best profession. If you are this profession narcissist type, you people are not going to accept it. Not staff, parents, and even uh, senior students are not going to accept it. If you keep on talking only about this, physical education is good, this is good, coaching is good. So if you have this mentality, I want you to come out from that mentality, as to don't have this professional narcissist mentality. And second one is just the opposite of this one. Physical education, we have this tendency to have this inferiority complex. We never goes where, like I said, if there's a common staff room, we avoid going to the common staff room. This is nothing. This is not overconfidence. The reality is because this is because of inferiority complex. You should not. If you are also a teacher in an institution, it is your duty to make your identity and to communicate well with others, to socialize well with other teachers. Science teacher, arts teacher, maths teacher, English teacher, social science teacher, let it be any subject. Even with the groundsmen, if from the top to bottom, you are supposed to know them well. And if you, as long as you have this inferiority complex, the people who are known to you, the people you are know will be just a few group only. If you want to be known by others, others also have to know you. And the do's as a physical education teacher, the first thing you have to do is you have to stay updated. And if you want to make other people know that you are updating yourself, let it be in knowledge, in terms of knowledge and other areas. Let me give you one tip. One best way is sometime do visit the library occasionally, periodically, regularly if it is possible. If you saw yourself in the library, none of the staff or no one in the campus will say that you are not updated person with knowledge. Because libraries where, accept it or not, if you find the intelligence people in the campus goes. So go and often show yourself in the library. And your value will be, your points will be added. And second one is trust your instinct. You have to trust your instinct. Trust your instinct means believe in yourself. Know that as a physical education teachers, you are good, right? Your knowledge is sufficient. This does not mean that you should not update yourself, but just know that you are good in your field and you have sufficient knowledge. You have all the skill to impart your profession to others. Trust in your instinct. This belief is what I call instinct. You have to believe in yourself. And the last part you have to do as a physical education teacher is love your job. Until unless you have your job, getting visibility, work visibility, selling of your ideas, or getting creative as a physical education teacher is going to be next to impossible. And the next one is finding the right moment. We are talking about how to influence the staff and parents. How to influence the staff and parents. Remember, your popularity, your identity, your important in the institution to a great extent depend upon the staff and the parents you're going to be in touch with. Here, what is the right moment to influence this staff? I'll be going to slightly faster. The best moment I'll say is sports day. Every school have a sports day, right? Every school will have a sports day. If some will have a 3-day sports days program, some will even have it a 1-day program. Let's say, let us take it as a 1-day program. You are having a 1-day sports day program in your school. You're organizing it. Let's say it is a 3 hours or 4 hours program. My advice to you is make sure that out of 4 hours program, a quarter of the time, you just plan a program, devote it entirely with a very good publicity, a program, plan out a program for staff and parents. And when I said plan out a program for staff and parents, you have to select a very suitable activities. You have to give good publicity to make sure that sufficient participants are there, and you should be willing to motivate them in the right way, right? And last but not least is make sure that there is a very good price. There's a very good ceremonial programs for not only for the teachers, not only for the student on the sports final day, but for the teachers too. And once you can organize this sports day wonderfully, concentrating a quarter part of the time to the staff and parents, I can almost guarantee you your popularity, your visibility in the school will grow almost 2 or 3 times. And that is where you can start establishing yourself. So please keep in mind, all this involves creativity. Until unless you are with all this planning and preparation is all going to involve creativity. Like I said in the beginning, creativity you already have in you. It is about just taking out or just pulling out this creativity at the right time in the right place. And the next slide is about blogging as part of physical education program. In the slide, you find our current ministers of youth affairs and sports and cleaning, doing this blogging activities. Here, what I want to stress on this blogging as a physical education program is you can put this community service, social service as part of physical education, introducing helpful activities, valuable activities, community programs, or this social programs into your physical education activities. Well, if you are just briefly going to the background of blogging. Blogging is, I think it started way back in 2016 by Sweden. It's a very small country. The government, what they have decided is, after they find that there's a lot of littering of plastic waste near the roadside or in their country, they come out with this flogging scheme, right? And then what they do is they said, okay, they started advertising. They said it is a citizen duty to, to consider their health and fitness. So they joke around. So they encourage those people who are joking around to carry their small bags and then to pick up the litters on the way. And this particular idea has become very popular throughout the world in 2018. And as a result, even in India also, in the last 1-2 years, we have been seriously undertaking this program, where the usual practices, every school, university, even community started taking off. Then they'll go to the surrounding various areas, carry a bag in groups, at least 2 kilometers away, then pick up those litters, those waste materials near the roadside. At the same time, cleaning the environment, cleaning the roads. This is what we used to do in blogging in India. Now, my advice here is how can you use this concept, the idea, into physical education? The first one is, why don't you, as a physical education teachers, just before I come to the first one, let me add one more thing. You have to look, like there's always a saying, charity begins at home. Until unless you started developing on your own, until unless you feel that blogging, cleaning the environment, arranging things in a systematic way is important, and until unless you practice it yourself, convincing your children, your student is not going to be possible. So the first one, like we said, charity begins at home. You first practice it. Your room, you set it right. Dirty things, you take it out. You clean your room, set everything right. Even outside your house, you started practicing yourself. Then slowly, once you started developing this, you are convinced that what you're doing is the next group, that is your class who come for physical education teachers. First thing you can do is using blogging as a 5 minutes starting activity class once a week, right? Use it as an activities. Maybe you find your big physical education room is, everything is misplaced. You can encourage your class. Let's say class 3 section A comes for your class. What you can do is, okay, boys and girls, this room is dirty, did not look good. This is not the way it should be. So 5 minutes before I take you out for activities, let us arrange things in the right way. This is also a blogging concept here I'm using. Then once you find that this 5 minutes starting an activity class once a week is working, you can go to the next step. That is making blogging one period activity once a month. Don't be the type of person who said that blogging is useful and then every day you started using. Children are going to get bored. You said that, okay, we are doing very well, encourage them. Okay, once a week, why don't we do it? Take their consensus, take their opinion. And if they said agreed, then once a week, once a month, make this blogging activities, go together with your student around the campus, clean it. Not only you'll be cleaning the school campus, you are going to get a big favor, a big handshake from your school administrators. And the third one is, once the school administrators identify the steps you're taking, the creative works you're doing in school, then one day you can go and convince, Madam or Sir, why don't we have this a blogging activity once a day for the whole entire school, once in 2 months or once in 3 months. The aim is to move step by step. Creativity is not going to just happen things and then in one day it is not going to go. Step by step it have to come. Then yeah, this one is, I call this is a problem solving. As a physical education teachers, even if you are the most creative individual, you are bound to come out with the problems. As a human being, we are put in this world to face a problem. And how to solve your problem as a physical education teachers, as a coach, or as a human being, as a father, or as an individual, there's one easy solution is there. If you're willing to try it out, we call that one IDEA, IDEA, where I stand for identifying the problems. Well, identifying the problems here means the cause of a factor, identifying what is the main cause. One problems can be due to so many causes. The first step is to identify what is the main causes of that problems. Until unless you identify a problem, solving a problem is not going to be easy. And once you've identified the problem, what is going to be the next step? The next step is D stand for developing a list of solutions. Right? You started listing out, I have identified the cause of this problem. So this is the step. This is how I'm going to solve this solution. List out 3 or 4 or 5 things, how to solve that problems. And after you have a good list of the solution, the next step is E, evaluate your solution. Look out of, let's say you have 10 lists of solving your problems. If you look back into it seriously, step by step, if you look back into it, maybe out of this 10 solution, you may find this 3 solution is very good. If you find this 3 solution is very good, you still look deep into it. Evaluate this 3 solution, you'll be able to list out 1 is the plan A, 2 is the plan B, and 3 is the plan C. You'll even be able to plan it out like this. So evaluate your solution and decide what action you're going to take. And A is for analyzing how well it worked. You started putting your plan into action, your solution into action, and check if it works well. If it works well, then your problem will be reduced. If it did not work well, then your problem will not be solved. And the question arises, I follow this idea process, but I did not come out with a good solution. Here, what you can do is, my advice is go back, start from the beginning, identify another problem, look into the problem again, and develop a new set of lists, evaluate a new set of solution, and you're bound to come. If first round your problem is not solved, second round your problem is not solved, even go for the third round, I'm very sure your problem will be finally solved. So this is the best method of solving any types of problems you're going to encounter, not only as a physical education teachers, but as an individual too. We have a physical education challenges. I'm going to show you this one video. We talked a lot about how to pull out the creative side of a teacher. Now we're looking here, the video I have just seen. Here, I don't know if you have noticed it. If you have noticed it, you'll never find a teacher here, right? You'll not find a teacher. Maybe the teacher is the one who's recording. But one beautiful thing you have to remember here is, not only the teacher, the student, the children are also creative human beings. As long as you motivate them in the right way, give them the right things, give them the right equipments, and give them the right opportunity to take out their creative side of them, they just get themselves engaged into it. You'll find in the small slide, in the small video, you'll find every child, even at the extreme end, just getting active with their things. This is one step you have to keep in mind as a physical education teacher. Always put effort to take out the creative side of children. And one big takeaway point is, even for you also, if you develop something or if you utilize your creative side, there's a lot of satisfaction. And as a human being, what is better than getting satisfaction with your work? Yeah, here the second one, if you see the market coat, it is a snake and ladder coat, right? I know as a physical education teacher, this may not be practical to go to have all the resources to mark a snake and ladder things in your ground. The takeaway point here is what you can learn in your home is there some easy game, some easy indoor game, some easy recreational games like snakes and ladder, ludo, or this skip, or even all these skip games, or this all this hop and skip game. There's so many games which you practice at home or during your childhood. Look back into this thing in your free times, and I'm very sure you'll be able to come out with one good activities. Yeah, this is just put up as an example. The, the takeaway point from here is what you learn from books, what you learn in chart, maybe sometime what you find in drawing from your children's. You look into this one, obviously you may be able to come up with some creative ideas. I'll give you one example. You find one day you go and look this your children playing or children playing carrom. You find a striker is moving around the boat in a beautiful, in a good speed, with a beautiful angle. Remember this angle. And next day, when your children come for class, yesterday I watched this a carom boat match, and I find the striker going like this. Yeah, you just encourage their children, and then we are going to travel today. We are going to run like a striker game. So you take them, ask them from here. You're going to run this one. You're going to rebound from this one. This is how you're going to apply the creative side in your physical activities. And this is the same. This is all about trying to draw out the creative side of children. Like I said, just as a physical education teaches is creative, students are also creative. And the more you can read, the more you can draw out, the more satisfaction you're going to get. Yeah, one more example, I'll put it here. Everyone is familiar with Rumal Chori games or the dog and the bone, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4 in other side, and that the black spot is the Rumal. So what we just call a number, and then they used to, everyone is familiar with this game. I'm going to put it this way. Now, this particular game, if you can rename it according to one situation, right? Here in the list, you say, bring back the sun. You just assume this is the black spot is the sun. Oh, we're going to turn this dog and the bone games into, we're going to play dog and the bone games today, but it is not going to be dog and bone games. It is bringing back the sun. The sun is going to be put in the center where you see which team can take back how many times. Like this, if you can encourage, the whole game will have a new look. And once it have a new look, new enthusiasm will be there, new energy will be there in the games. And altogether, it will be an interesting games. And one more activities you can include is the A to Z activities. Right? You put here a chart where letters A, B, A to Z is put. Alphabet A to Z is put. And for each and every letters, there's some exercise. Let's say you have a class of 30 or 30 group coming for physical education teachers. divide this into 6, into 5, 5, and don't show them this chart. You just ask, okay, today first group is going to, you ask first group which alphabet you want. That if they said they want A, the next will choose another alphabet, the next will choose a different alphabet they'll be choosing. And after that, the chart which you already prepared, all the exercise where you already listed, you're going to show it to them, right? You'll just show it like this. Okay, this is going to be the chart, this is going to be the exercise which you are going to do. Then A, for example, group A, if they choose A, and second group if they choose N, or third group if they choose V, you're going to tell them first group is going to perform this exercise, second is going to do this exercise as per the chart you already prepared. And there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm in this one. And the second stage in this one is you can even make this almost like a circuit training. Circuit training is nothing but you move from station to station, do different exercises. Once the group have decided on these 6 exercises, then after 1 minute or after the first set is over, then the first group goes to the second, second to the third, third to the fourth, like this. It goes on rotation, and you can turn this A to Z activity into a circuit activities. Next, I'll be stressing on this one. This is an emoji games. Last one. When we talk about emoji, we always, the first thing that comes to mind is that a big smile, right? A big smile that always comes to an emoji. Now, I want from today onwards, or in the days to come, or whenever this lockdown is open, to concentrate all your program based on this smile lesson. In SMILE, the first one is, the first one stands for safety. In every class you plan, in every physical education class you have, always ensure that there's safety is maintained. There's safety in the play areas. There's no dangers, no sharp objects, example. And second one, you maintain your program should always be based on maximum participation. If 30 people comes for your class, try to ensure that the game you have selected or the activity you have chosen, all the groups are able to participate. And the next one, I stand for, in SMILE, S is for safety, M is for maximum participation, I stand for inclusiveness. Inclusiveness here means don't leave aside a student. Sometime in your class you may be differently able child, or someone may be so obese, someone may be so lean or thin, someone may be not well, or all this. Try to make your program where all this group can be included. They may not run like others do, or everyone may not run the same distance, but involve them in such a way that they are also part of the activities. And the next one is learning. Every program you make, there always have to be a take back from your lessons. It could be in terms of fitness, it could be in terms of social adjustment, or it could be in terms of psychological health, right? Adjustment with others, how to make friends. Always try to ensure that the class that come to you have some take back, learn some valuable things, learn some positive things. And next we have, try to ensure that enjoyment, your class enjoy your class. Your classes, your children enjoy your class. This also is always important. And the last one, let them have this experience of success in your class. If they don't have success today, let them have it. Let them be given opportunity about experiencing success in the next class. This is very important. And I'm very sure once you started deciding to use this SMILE concept into your program, your class will be more efficient, your class will be more effective, and you'll be able to dig out the creative side of you into your programs. Just to summarize, please keep these 4 things very important. Learn to have a record, learn to maintain a diary again as a physical education teachers, and find the right moment, work on it, plan out so that those people who have a stakeholder in your programs, you'll be able to give them a very good program. Generate ideas, not only from your side, try to always plan out a program where children's creative sides also will be a part of your physical education programs. And last but not least, don't forget to smile. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Sujit sir, may I take up the question answer session, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, today we had an eminent speaker talking and sharing his experiences as a physical educator. Dear friends, Dr. Lamlun Buhril is a blend of many capacities and capabilities. He is a true physical educationist who has keen interest in physical education pedagogy, curriculum, also psychology, and sports management as well. So it was really great to have hearing you, sir. Sir, yes, still we are having the complaining mentality. Whatever we are having, actually, we don't admit that our fate is determined by our actions itself. People are having a mentality that no, the sole responsibility of this so-called situation is created by only the parents, students, and teachers and administrators. They are thinking that it is solely the responsibility of them, and we are not ready to admit these things. So, sir, we are having a worry from Priyanka Sharma, who is telling that now in physical education atmosphere, almost all the parents are running after their students becoming champions in a day. They want, by seeing Sindhu achieving medal, by seeing such personalities attaining height in sports, they also just want their children to be a champion in a day. They will be sending their child, and the next month, if he is not attaining some glory, or else if he is failing to do so, they will just withdraw their candidate, and they will be saying that it is not my cup of tea. So, sir, could you please suggest some sort of strategy to tackle these situations in schools? Sir, please.
Just like we have been stressing from the beginning, even for physical education teachers also, to have your own identity in school, it is going to be a very, very slow process. Then the same apply in sports also. Now, how to convince the parents? To convince someone, like I said, you have to be visible first. Until unless you have this visibility, you will not be able to convince parents. But let us assume you are respected for your work, and people got to know you. People started respecting you as a professional in the field. Then once you have that visibility in you, talking to the parents and trying to convince them, sir or madam, achievement in sports is not an easy. There's no shortcut in it. It required a lot of talent. It required good trainings and all this sports training aspect. Once you are visible, if you try to convince the parents, then they'll be able to understand. And once they understand, and once the parents started having this concept that, oh, it is not going to be an easy road, it is going to be a lot of effort, then I think the complaint from the parents' side also, that perseverance, that effort have to come together with the parents. That the expectation will not be so high, so fast, right? The expectation will not be so high, so fast. That is what we want. Otherwise, there's always going to be a game. And you and I know, as a physical education teachers or as a coach, we know we can never make a champion, uh, even in 1 day times. But what you can learn, what you can learn from others, that is what we have. And like I said, for this, to have this convincing power, that visibility is so important. Unless you are visible, convincing others is not going to work. So my advice to the person is, to the physical education teachers who put up the question is, let us work first on our visibility as an individual, as a coach or as a physical education teacher, so that we'll be able to pass the right information, what is required to the parents. I
Yes,
hope it answered.
yes, sir. It was crystal clear, sir. Yes, as you rightly said, no, actually convincing parents regarding now participating in sports or else being a champion in sport is not the sole thing. Moreover, we have to achieve a lot of physical and health benefits out of physical activity, and developing a sense of attitude to take part in physical activity, that is a crucial factor, sir. Definitely, we have to make sure that the policy decisions taken by the entire school fraternity, that should befit the physical education uh, structure. Sir, next one question we are having now in this 3G scenario, or else the new generation scenario, actually physical education teachers. Sir, 1 second. Bull, sir, can you please mute it? It is echoing. In the present scenario of the new generation, even the physical education teachers are finding it very difficult to pull out the children to the field. Why? Because they are after all the technical things and so-called video games or computer gadgets. Sir, could you please suggest some strategy to motivate and to develop a sort of attitude for these young children towards participating in physical education in a creative strategy? Sir, you please.
Sir, you have to unmute, sir.
Okay. From the beginning on my presentation, what I've been always stressing is this one. Creativity is not just going to happen. It needs a lot of efforts, and a good knowledge, a good understanding is required to be creative. And like you have suggested, uh, like I've suggested from the beginning, physical education, born as a human being, we're already creative in nature. It is just about taking out what is our creative side of from ourselves. And second one is children. Like I said, student also, since we have seen all this picture, students are also already creative. Now, if this, not only one side, if these two sides can be blended together, our physical education programs will always be very, very interesting. And new ideas and new concept, new innovative ideas is bound to keep on coming out always. So when you are suggesting, when you're asking for suggestion, some creative suggestion, it is, I only thing I can mention is, because according to the situation, creative suggestion which is going to be effective, which is going to be applicable, is going to be always different. So my advice here would be, let us just know that we have that all the qualities in us. Children also have their qualities, teachers also have to get qualities, and it is the teacher's duty to bring out the creative side of them and to pull out a little bit from the children's side and try to make this physical education program effective and enjoyable. And once it ends, once the creative side get involved, one big advantage is, like I always said, satisfaction comes. Only when satisfaction comes, then motivation automatically will get solved by itself.
Yes, sir. As you rightly said, a tailor-made physical education program which will accommodate the satisfaction of the parents as well as the students. You have to convince the parents that they are engaging in a productive activity rather than just mere a waste of time. At the same time, we have to accommodate and we have to recognize the interest of the students. You have to inculcate a sense of feeling, sense of fun and enjoyment in the activity. Then only it will be able to attract the parents as well as administrators towards this business. Sir, I also think that since the question was actually focusing on this recreation, their attitude towards this, all these technical gadgets, we can suggest one thing that nowadays in the physical education scenario, there is a new invention. It is not so new in the global scenario, but for in India, it is a new thing. Involving some sort of exercise also. So such types of extra games, such ideas may be incorporated in it to make this thing a productive work, sir. Sir, we are having one question from Mr. Satapati. So we are preaching that physical education and participation in sports is meant for the wholesome development of the students. And at times what happens, most probably they are not ready to participate in it, or else this so-called wholesome development of the child is not happening. So do you have any suggestion to better this situation, sir?
I like this question. When we talk about wholesome development as a physical education teacher, why did we fail? Since all the participants are mostly physical education teachers, let us not concentrate on the student side, let us concentrate on the teacher side. I think most of us used to fail in this. When, as a physical education teachers, so many time in situation, even in sports competition, I notice also that it is before the student loses their cool or before the student loses their control, it is usually the teacher who loses the control in game situation. Now, just using this as an example, as a physical education teacher, unless we are able to put up a good example, wholesome development in the child is not going to be possible. And second one is, if you wholesome development, when you talk about wholesome development as a physical educationist, we said that this physical, mental, social health. Now, as a physical education teachers, first thing is you're expected to look fit and healthy, right? Now, when you're as a physical education teachers, when we cannot look fit and healthy, convincing or influencing our student wholesomely, it is not going to be easy. I did not see the face, but they should not mind. But that is my concept. That is my opinion. The same thing until unless you have this self-control, or in other words, we said physical education needs have to be extrovert in nature, socially adjustable. Until unless we can have this emotional control or social adjustability with others, preaching or keeping on telling others or children is not going to help. So as a physical education teacher, I urge you, once again, let us first look into ourselves before we started influencing people. And always the best is example. Example is always the best. If you are fit, you need not tell others that to be fit. Just by looking at you, they'll walk out, they may ask you, how do I keep myself fit? Once they have this enquiring mind, then changing them, there's a better chance of changing. Changing will not take place just because we preach or we talk. Only when the child is interested and willing to change himself, then yeah, I'll say that there's a good chance of some improvement in people. It is just like taking care of our own children. It is very difficult to change our children. But once they see the changes in us, and if they are impressed, and if they decided they also want to change, that changes takes place. So when it comes to this wholesome development, once again, let us look into ourselves and try to develop the same in children, preaching what we do.
Yes, sir. As you rightly said, we more of preach rather than practice. we always say that now the system has to be changed. But as rightly said by Mahatma Gandhi, if you want to change the world, you first be the change. Now, we always say that. Now, there is a wrong notion that physical educator should be the watchdog of discipline by having a magic wand in his hand. But rather, what you have to do? People say that we are jack of all, master of nothing. But you have to prove yourself by being innovative that you are also a blend of many capacities and capabilities. We learn a lot of things, sports sciences, pedagogy, training aspects, but we never showcase these things in our school. You can see physiology, biology lab, chemistry lab, physics lab, computer lab, everything, even language labs, mathematics lab in your schools. But you can never see a physical education lab or a fitness lab or a so-called laboratory or a room in your school. Once you can put up such a thing and you can showcase everything like the alarming statistics that's going to be going through the scenario, and you can showcase the relevance of physical activity and fitness in the school. Once by seeing this thing, the parents should realize that now my child is also going to be one amongst these ailing population, and I want to change the status of my child. So for these things, we have to put up a lot of effort. You have to be innovative, creative in terms of developing your physical education curriculum, physical education program, so that you can make a change in the present scenario. By this, I hand over the session to Sujit Panigrahi, sir. Sir, please.
Yeah. Dr. Lamlun, I think this is one of the very important sessions that you took, and I think people are also writing about that they found it very useful. You and Sudesh sir also mentioned, I think one of the very important thing is that how do you also build respect for PE teachers? I think if you are creative, if you are, one question was there that as a PE teacher, how do I outgrow myself as an individual or also as a contributor, as a coach or a PE teacher? I think with creativity, with imagination, with involvement of everyone, like you rightly talked about, involving children and doing activities as per the interest of the child rather than teacher-centric becoming a child-centric program, and also involving other staff and the parents. I think as part of the creativity and innovation that you talked about, thinking out of the box. I mean, the last 4 days, we talked about NCR, Saroj madam talked about the structure. And in the previous 3 sessions, we talked about the structure for nursery to 5th, 6 to 8, and 11 to 12. So those were, the structure is important, but actually thinking beyond the structure. As innovators, as creative people, can we bring in new ideas to this? Because every school has to have new ideas. And I think you gave a lot of examples. And other thing that we talked about as part of your examples, you also gave example of like emoji game. You talked about snakes and ladders. Instead of being played inside a room, can you play them outside? So we also, you have games like a Pac-Man. Instead of playing it inside, can you convert that into a PE program? So you have obstacles all around and children are running around. So I think with this thing, with innovation, with creativity, all the PE teachers can grow themselves from PE teacher to becoming coaches and trainers, and also someone who actually generate ideas. So I think the respect of PE teachers in the school community, in the school itself, if you have ideas where you integrate with science, with mathematics and all that, the value of a PE teacher will go up, the respect will go up, and one day we'll also see a lot of PE teachers becoming headmasters, principals, and all that. And I think those are some of the things in the right direction. Very beautifully presented, sir. Yeah, thank you so much. I think it was very useful for all the participants. Kishore sir, your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Sujit and Sutish. Dr. Lamlun has very articulately textured up this topic. You know, the creativity should be articulate. So that is what, you know, when you present creativity, it should be something touching, the innovation should be felt. So I congratulate Dr. Lamlun Buhril for making an excellent presentation and very well done. But I would like to just touch upon only a few points. When you do into creativity, what is creativity? Creativity is basically, necessity is the mother of creation. Necessity is the mother of creation. What is the necessity here? Necessity is that we would like, you know, the present setback of our country. It is necessary for us to turn our entire youth generation, our school, college going children resourceful and they need to be saved from the sedentary lives and all sort of threats they are facing in the in the social and health sector. So there is a strong necessity here. So necessity becomes the mother of creation, and that when the necessity underlies, the creation also would have the have got a lot of thrust and importance. So there is that where we have to look into, and it is the necessities which felt in the country, especially when you are facing a stigma. The profession of physical education was unfairly maligned and stigmatized for a period of time because it was not properly made visible, it was not properly marketed. I could use the sense marketed because it was not rightly projected and rightly not presented. So here in creativity, the role of creativity comes in properly marketing. You have to market not in an ordinary way, you have to market aggressively. To market aggressively, you need to innovate the existing ideas and it should be expressed in a new way. Innovation of the existing ideas. The existing ideas, what are there, that may require a lot of changes, modification, and should be expressed in a new way. So there the creativity comes. Our former President of India, Sri APJ Abdul Kalam, whenever he used to address the children, he used to say, you have to dream about something. Dream is not something which you make your, which you see in your sleep, but he says that dream is something which will not make you to sleep. That is what the dream, it starts from the dream. When you have a dream of having on something, achieving something, in designing something, in creating something, that will drive you to that. So that creativity comes through a passion, a vision, and also toward when you strive towards those using your scientific methodologies, scientific ways. So here it is there, you need to have, and here you have to show the outcome. Creativity's success depends on the outcome of what you are going to market. When you sell any product, also you say that outcomes of this product. You are making a new product. How do you sell the product? It is the marketing which makes it to sell. You showcase its outcomes. It's what are the things which we can. So we have to create. While you do the creativity, we have to aggressively market what are the outcomes, which may be mainly, in physical education, we can see that whatever quality changes which happens internally, externally, physically, mentally, morally, how it becomes sound, how they will, in the present scenario, how it will, in the COVID situation, how it can immune them from the various and give them better immunity and better strength, inner strength from mentally to face the situation, face the challenges the country is facing, and otherwise how it will immune them with better skills and better self-confidence, all these things, and how they can morally also be sound, how can be a better citizen, how can they live a better life, how they can face the challenges in life, how they can face defeat and accept challenges, how they can win out of when you get defeated or when you fail. Or there is a lot of things which we can market into it aggressively, through which we can do creativity and changes, modify the pattern of delivery which we have got, which will definitely of much help to. And you have touched very important topic, and I'm sure that the necessity which you have explained at the outset and also later, and the strategy which has been proposed will definitely make a sea change in the field, and our physical education fraternity will be definitely benefited, and they will try to adopt the best creative styles and thereby making it acceptable. You have to make that outcomes acceptable and to the society, to the parents, to the school management. When you sell it properly, when you are able to sell the outcomes, when you are able to convince the school management, convince the parents, convince the child about the outcomes, that how they are going to benefit through this product, how they are going to benefit through this creative style, creative strategy, creative teaching method, then it will sell more, then it will be accepted more. And that is what, in a nutshell, I think will be the outcome of what you have delivered. I once again congratulate Dr. Lamlun for an excellent presentation, and I am sure that will make a remarkable change in the field scenario. Thank you very much.
Can you just make it full screen? Yeah. So we have one session today at 5 o'clock where we have Dr. Martin Toms, who's going to talk about the role of community sports in the development of youth talent in UK. ये बहुत important program है क्योंकि जैसे countries like UK, Canada, Australia, US इन सब के काफी अच्छे structured program है community sports development के लिए. तो हम सारे लोगों के लिए क्योंकि community coaching हमारे इंडिया में नया है, ये बड़ा important है कि हम ये session को attend करें at 5 o'clock. And tomorrow we are going to also hear the story of the 5 sisters. Singh sisters, famously known as 5 Singh sisters, discussing about the sporting journey. ये काफी exciting है. And ये please जो batch 1 and batch 3 में भी जितने participants हैं, अगर आप उनको जानते हैं, आप उनको बोल सकते हैं, वो batch 2 के through 12:30 को log in कर सकते हैं. And ये webinar का ID है. You can actually pass it on to everyone. So anyone, any of your friends, anyone wants to join, even the school children, they might want to hear 12:30 को कल सिंह सिस्टर्स की स्पोर्टिंग जर्नी के बारे में. सो इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन है, आप अपने स्कूल में भी बोल सकते हैं. ये काफी लोगों के लिए इंस्पिरेशनल है काफी. So these are the 2 sessions that I want to talk to you, and see you tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to talk about sports events. Yeah. Thank you so much. So this sir, you want to end formally end the session?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Dear friends, it was really a thought-provoking as well as a informative and enlightening session by Dr. Lamlun Buhril. Of course, because of his vast experience as a physical education teacher in school, as I told you, he started his career as a physical education teacher in school. Later on, he entered an academic institution handling physical education. And then in between, he also had a stint of as an administrator there in Northeastern Regional Center of Sports, SAI LNCPE, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, as well as all the panelists and the participants. I thank you for this wonderful session, sir. I also thank Dr. G. Kishore, Principal Sir, for being in this session and giving his thoughts on the presentation. I also thank Mr. Sujit Panigrahi, who is the coordinator for this program. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you very much.